It is with great pleasure that I'm about to introduce you our alumni speaker for this 50th commencement celebration, Sonia Sotire-Malloy. She's the Whitby class of 1986. She attended Whitby from 3rd grade through graduation in 1986, and her sister attended here as well from stepping stones through graduation. Although she was unable to attend Mayfair last year, which would have been her 25th anniversary, and celebrate with fellow alumni who came then, she's excited to be here on behalf of all of you and all other alumni here in Greenwich and throughout the world who are part of Whitby. She will reflect on what Whitby means to her and her memories, and I hope you, as the class of 2012, sit back and reflect on your memories here. And as has been mentioned, this is probably the one institution, the place you will be the longest, so cherish those memories, and we welcome you back whenever you come. As to background on Sonia, she was an entrepreneur at an early age. She started her own hair accessory business in college. She subsequently joined May department stores, Macy's, out of college, had various roles in the retail business, worked at Avon as director of marketing, and subsequently as director of retail merchandise for a large women's retail and cosmetic firm, before deciding to go out on her own and start her own business here in Greenwich in 2007. She opened up Splurge in 2007, initially with a limited space and more of a gallery than a full-blown retail store, but has now expanded to both a large gift and home decor retail store here in Greenwich, as well as a new store, Splurge Kids. She is very generous and engaged in the community, and she truly reflects all and what's special about Whitby and people who've been here. She's been very involved in the community. She's on the board of the Greenwich Chamber of Commerce, board member of and community philanthropy chair at the Greenwich Business Club, which also includes fellow parent alumni Rich Granoff. She was named Small Business Person of the Year in 2009 by the Greenwich Chamber of Commerce. As I'd mentioned, she has supported various initiatives in philanthropy over the last 5 years, including not just Whitby School, but Kids in Crisis, the Food Bank of Lower Fairfield County, and other organizations that have an emphasis on children, education, and community. It has been many years, and she doesn't know this, but it's been many years since her performance here at Whitby in You're a Good Man, Charlie Brown, with some fellow alumni, but she remains connected to Whitby and is excited to join us on yet another stage here, this time for graduation with yourselves, and to welcome the newest alumni, the class of 2012. Without further ado, Sonia.
Wow. All I can say is, wow, you guys are awesome. Really awesome. I didn't know exactly what to expect. It's been a long time since I've been here, and I was so impressed with your speeches and your eloquence. And that's not part of this speech. I'm really floored. So it's really exciting for me to be here today, celebrating you guys, the class of 2012 at Whitby's 50th commencement. I am truly honored to be here, coming back to a place that means as much to me today as it meant 26 years ago when I sat in your seats. After hearing you all speak, I know there's a lot going through your minds. Excitement, anticipation of what's to come, probably a twinge of fear about the unknown, and lots of sadness about leaving the friends that you've made here in this wonderful Whitby community. It's always hard to leave a comfortable place where you've made great friends, especially a place where, as Rich mentioned, many of you have spent the longest time that you'll spend in any single academic environment. Well, I'm here to tell you today that the bonds that you've made here at Whitby will stand the test of time. When I left Whitby, I kept in touch with all of my friends for years. But over time, as our lives got busier, we all entered the corporate world or the educational world and found ourselves in new communities. You know, I found that I spoke to my friends less and less frequently, even though I always thought about them. So many, many years passed, and I found myself back in Greenwich, opening Splurge Gifts and pursuing my lifelong dream. It brought back memories of walking on Greenwich Avenue and shopping in the family-owned stores that existed back then, as well as the restaurants, and sharing those memories with my Whitby school friends. I found myself longing to go back to my roots and to reconnect with all of those friends that I had made at Whitby. And shortly thereafter, a wonderful thing happened. Out of the blue, in the very early days of Facebook, I got a friend request from my very closest friend from Whitby School, who I hadn't talked to in over 15 years. We reconnected as though we had just talked the day before. We were so genuinely happy to reconnect. And day after day, more and more of our friends started joining Facebook, and we started to share memories. We shared memories like our week-long field trips to Lake George and Camp Poco McCready, where we participated in team building and trust building exercises, where we were pushed outside of our comfort zone, and where the van rides were just as fun as many of those trips were. We saw and experienced unique places together like Quebec, where we used our French and we caused a lot of ruckus in those hotel rooms. There were spirited recollections about Whitby's commitment to the arts, about our class plays, as Rich mentioned, where our teachers created silly characters just so all of us would have a part and no one felt left out. Those class plays were in the room that's now your library. It was just a big open room. We laughed about how everybody had a place on our sports teams, as one of you mentioned, even one of the most uncoordinated students of all, who was me, the worst. But I was always on a team, which further reinforced the Whitby spirit of inclusion and allowing everybody a chance to get involved. We shared tons of happy memories about dancing around the maypole, at the May Day celebration, playing foursquare in the covered area, which is now your junior high school, and sledding like maniacs down that big hill over there. We reminisced how we were taught good manners, to respect others, to shake our headmaster's hand every morning when we arrived at school and say good morning. And to this day, I'm told that I have a really good, firm handshake, and I attribute that to that daily ritual. Everyone remembered excelling in what they chose. For some, it was reading a grade 3 book in kindergarten, or learning algebra at age 8. For others, it was discovering a weird thing called computers. Now, you have to remember, this was a really long time ago. Or making crepes while conversing in French class. That was one of my favorites, crepes with lots and lots of sugar. As one of my friends eloquently stated, Whitby lets the true learner emerge, with the underlying assumption being that the child knows what is best for him or herself, all the while being coached and guided as we learned at our own pace and discovered our academic strengths and interests. As we reunited virtually, I laughed out loud. My husband can attest to this many, many, many times. I found myself teary-eyed, just going through all of these wonderful recollections and these amazing comments. And it was really incredible to me how quickly I was transported back to my Whitby days. It was as though it was yesterday. And so today, while we're celebrating your graduation, 26 years after mine, after hearing you speak, I know that many of my Whitby experiences will resonate with you. The content of those experiences is definitely different, but the spirit of Whitby remains the same, and I can attest to you that the friendships that you've built here will stay with you forever. And I'm going to share an example of that. A few years ago, a Whitby friend of mine stopped into my store unannounced. We hadn't seen each other in many, many years. And I reached out to him as I was writing this script, just to get just to get some feedback from him. And here are his words regarding that reunion. We hadn't seen each other since graduation, but to be honest, Sonia, when I saw you, it was like being reconnected with a sibling. For all of us, just as you guys said, Whitby really is like one big family. I credit Whitby for helping me to achieve my successes in life, for developing my whole person, socially and emotionally, as well as my academic mind. At Whitby, we were challenged to be open-minded, to try new things, to think outside of the box, to take the path less traveled, and to take risks, as many of you mentioned in your speeches. That hasn't changed. The environment was safe, and we weren't afraid to be ourselves. We learned real-world critical thinking skills through trial and experimentation, and sometimes we made mistakes, but we learned from those mistakes. We were encouraged to think and work independently. It was instilled in us to ask questions, and especially to question things that didn't seem right. The environment fostered open and clear communication where we were expected to share our thoughts, to be kind to others, and most importantly, to make our mark as part of a community. All of these learnings weren't necessarily taught to us. They were gleaned through the unique experiences that we shared in this special environment. And these learnings have really served me very well in every phase of my life thus far, and especially as an entrepreneur. For this, I'll always be indebted to this wonderful school. So as you move forward, I ask you to reflect on the culture of Whitby, because it really is like no other school you'll ever attend. It fosters incredible self-discovery, introspection, and full personal development. It's a very special community that you're really blessed to have been a part of. And while you might not realize it at this time, it's really a gift, and it's a gift you'll take with you for the rest of your lives. You'll be immersed in many communities in the coming years, and I'll ask you to dedicate yourselves to making a mark in each of those communities and really making a difference, using the skills that you've developed here at Whitby. So go out there and make yourselves and Whitby proud. I wish you heartfelt congratulations and all the best in the coming years. Thank you.